and then give us feedback. Oh, beautiful. Dr. Dubril says she did. She maintained her balance. Oh, beautiful. That's good. Not easy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Not easy. Oh, see, you will survive now. Balanced after some time. You did. It's not easy. Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow. Tedious. I think these people are real. Did it for 3 seconds. That's great. So for those of you who are saying you were able to do it, can you please tell us the secret? Difficult. These people are real. I mean, difficult. These people are real. I maintained balance for 45 seconds and then you began to shake. Fairly. So, exactly. Can you please tell us what your secret is if you were able to maintain balance? Please, can you put your audio on and quickly let us know how you did that? Thank you. Thank you, Igado. Thank you. Oh, beautiful. Somebody just said, I was focused, concentration. Can you see that those who said they did it, the difference really, they already got it. And let me show you, research has proven that you can, there is nobody who cannot do this. We can. It's simple. What we really need to know, there are certain things you've got to keep your leg firm on the floor, unshaking, and you've got to keep your eyes focused in a particular direction, like this woman. Balance requires a singular point of focus. Balance requires a single, and we're looking today at how we're going to regain balance and ensure that we stay balanced. And so that, because when you're balanced, then you're able to think straight, then you're able to achieve impact. Then if you're not even balanced yourself, how do you impact other people? But when you are balanced, you're able to maintain your proper thinking. Great. So that's the angle I'm coming from this morning. If you want to impact people maximally, you should not be in a situation where you're lost, you're confused, you're unsure, you have anxiety, you're perplexed, you're unclear, you're disoriented and totally bewildered. So we want all of these things away from our lives. In other words, if we want to achieve maximum impact, we need to be able to keep our focus and concentrate on what really matters. And to be honest with you, what matters in life is purpose. Miles Monroe said, nothing in life is without purpose, but not every purpose is known. When purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. I'm sure you've heard that phrase before, that sentence before, that when purpose is unknown, abuse is inevitable. In other words, there is no way you're going to be able to maintain your focus in life until you know the purpose of your life. I want to bring us to my bedroom. And now, when I say my bedroom, that means just imagine that this is my bedroom. We want to look at maximum impact. And let's say this is my bedroom. I noticed that when it's hot in the night, I can't sleep. So now, because I want to sleep, I want to enjoy my sleep, I go to buy a fan, a standing fan. And I realized that the standing fan that I bought has actually not made my life easier, because in the middle of the night, I become too cold. And I stand up to go and switch the fan off, my sleep goes away. Until a friend of mine comes and says, oh, go and buy a fan that has remote. Oh my goodness, I never knew. So I went and I bought a fan that has remote. Excitedly, I installed it in my bedroom. I was happy. And I had the remote right by me on the bedside, so that in the middle of the night, when it is cold, all I need to do is just point the remote and switch it off. Guess what? In the very first night, I put it on, and when it was time for me to put the fan off, the remote did not work. Eventually, I had to stand up to go and switch the fan off. Question: did that fan make impact in my life? Did that fan make maximum impact?
No.
Thank you very much. It did not. Why? Because the purpose of it was to ensure that I will not lose my sleep. Yes, the purpose of it was to ensure that I can sleep when I'm hot, and I was able to sleep. But I already had a fan that would make that happen, but I would get cold in the night. Now, the reason I went to buy a different kind of fan this time is because I now need a fan that I can switch off and not have to lose my sleep. But eventually I had to lose my sleep. That exactly is what I'm talking about. If you want to make maximum impact in your life, any one of us that would like to make maximum impact, what we really do need to do is to first of all find out the very purpose of our lives. When you know the purpose of your life, you will find out that your life will take on a meaning, totally new meaning. Mark Twain says the two most important days in your life are the day that you are born and the day you find out why. Now, the day that you are born, there's no decision of yours that was included. You weren't there when your parents decided to get married. You weren't there when when they got pregnant for you. And even when you were born, even though you were there at your naming, you weren't aware of what was going on. So you had little to do with that decision. In other words, the only major decision that is important for you in your life is not really the decision of what am I going to eat this morning? It is the decision of why am I alive? What am I supposed to achieve before I die so that I don't carry the gifts, the talents of God into the grave? Somebody once said that the graveyard is one of the most important, most rich places on earth because there are so many songs left unsung there. We can't access them anymore. In other words, to make maximum impact, the first place to start is to find your purpose, is to find what you're supposed to be doing. And once you now find your purpose, you need then the ability to focus on that purpose for which you were born on earth. Now, one of the tools that can help you to keep your focus in this most distracting life is actually what we're about to talk about this morning. It is called vision board. In other words, for your vision board to really achieve what we're trying to do here, we're talking of not just impact. I mean, what you're doing right now, you're impacting people. Where you are living, you are impacting people, whether you know it or not. It could be negative, it could be positive, but everybody is impacting people. But we're not talking of maximum positive impact in life. To be able to get there, the first and major thing is for you to know your purpose. But of what use is it when you know your purpose and you are distracted away from it? Of what use is it when you know your purpose and you cannot focus on it? Therefore, what I'm talking about this morning is vision boarding. And it is a tool that will help us to know how to keep our focus so that when you get on your deathbed, you can smile and say, goodbye, world. It's been nice knowing you. I've done my bit to make you a better place. What are vision boards? Vision boards. So to help us understand vision boards, I would say that I believe that most people who are here, almost 100 of us, most people between December and January this year already have New Year resolutions. Some don't have it written, some have it written, and they have, oh, this year I'm going to gym, this year I'm going to stop smoking, this year I'm going to drink less alcohol. If you check it, all of the things that we usually say are things that are supposed to help, that we say we want to do in the new year, are things that are supposed to help us achieve maximum impact in life. Now, can you imagine that all of these things that you have written on a sheet of paper, or for some people, you have just done something like this, can you imagine that you actually have them in images? This is what vision boarding is about. What do vision boards look like? This is what they look like. These are like 5 vision boards. Just by looking at one of the vision boards here, you can immediately tell that that person has not been sleeping well, and this year it wants to ensure that they have 8 hours of sleep. Now, as a matter of fact, if we understand how to use vision boards, our lives will change dramatically. and we will definitely be able to make maximum impact in our lives. I'm sure you're beginning to ask, so what's the use of having a vision board? I'll give you 4. There are so many. Number 1, what the vision board does differently than the New Year resolution is that it will force you to sit down and think on what you really want in life. I dare say to you, as a certified life coach, I can tell you that most people on earth know what they don't want. On the other hand, most people on earth don't know what they want. I'm sure you are saying to yourself, no, me, I know what I want. I'm not sure it's that easy. Most people don't know what they really want. They're always like, this is what I want. Go and check them 3 years down the line. That's not what they are doing. When I started what I thought I wanted, I found out that there is this distraction. This is not working like that. Just leave it. I'm doing something else. Ask your life. Ask yourself, what you said you were going to be 10 years ago, is that where you are right now? Most people don't know what they really want in life. Then secondly, another thing that the vision board does is that it serves as a motivation, for you to do the things that you need to do to achieve your dreams. Research has it that by the end of January, most people's New Year resolutions are no longer important. In fact, most people don't even know where they have kept their New Year resolution by the end of January. Now, the third thing that the vision board does for you is that it helps you focus. It helps you keep your focus all year round. And that's exactly why I'm saying, if you want to achieve maximum impact, we need something that would help us keep our focus. You and I will agree that the telephones, these devices have come to our world. And now that they're here, they're a major distraction to us. Forget about saying it's only children, even adults, television, so many, radio, news, all those things have come to become distractions in our world. Then the fourth thing is a daily opportunity to reprogram your mind towards what you want. Now, the mind is so powerful. The way we think can actually determine the way we feel. So when you have a vision board, when the distractions of the world comes, your vision board will help you to reprogram yourself towards, no, this is what I want. So that when you are in the bank and you want to collect money and you see the queue, whereas other people are seeing the queue, you are looking at what you want to use that money for, so you stay on the queue. So you find a way to make sure that you get what you want. Now, do these vision boards work? Are there people that the vision boards have worked for? Well, fair enough. It's important that I let you know that since 2016 to now, my life has changed dramatically once I got to know about vision boards and I began to use them. Now, well, maybe not everybody, but most people will know Steve Harvey. And let's just read what Steve has there. He says, everything I've gotten in life, I have written. So if you have an idea of what you want your 2021 to be, and it is not written down, I dare say to you that you have not even started at all. The good book says that in Habakkuk chapter 2, it says, write the vision and make it plain so that you can run with it. Therefore, the thing that you have imagined in your head that you don't even have written down, you've not even started at all. Now, for those who have it written down, it's saying that you then need to turn it into the power of images, because images help us get into our minds. There are gates into the soul of the human being. Your eyes are your gates. Your ears are gates. What you hear can affect you. What you see can affect you. And what you say about your life can affect you. So the vision board helps you to captivate the power of those 3 areas of your life: seeing, hearing, and talking, to direct your mind in the place where you want it to be. Steve Harvey says, my vision board is crazy. You won't even believe it, because I'm not even in the need business anymore. In other words, I have no need. But is that not what the Bible says? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. So there is nothing that he really needs that he's not able to get. What's on my vision board now is astronomical. And guess what? I'm going to get all of it. You can tell that his faith has risen up. I think a lot of messages are coming in. I hope people are hearing me. Oh, okay, it's not. My internet is fluctuating. My voice is off and on. Wow. Wow.
It's perfect.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So that's for Steve Harvey. Let's look at somebody else. This is Shay Michelle. Shay is the actress and the star of Pretty Little Liars. And Shay says that she was able to travel all over the world. She was able to vlog and become an actress. Everything she has become today, it is because she used a vision board. We're looking at if they work. Whitney Cummings, and she is an American comedian. She's an actress and a producer, best known as the creator of the CBS sitcom Two Broke Girls and the NBC sitcom Whitney. Now, she had only three things on her vision board: a horse, a dream home, and Ellen. As you can look at it, she's already on the show with Ellen. At the time she was doing these things, those three things looked like they were impossible. They were far away from her life. And the third one of it is already now achieved. She's on the show with Ellen. These are facts and things that all you need to do is to Google to go and check if what I'm saying is right or not. You have them. I mean, I copied this from YouTube. You can even still see the play link button, the play button is there. So in other words, apart from my testimony, I have shown you people in different parts of the world, and you can see that they work. So I'm sure in your mind right now, you're asking, okay, if that is it, I want to change my life. I want to become somebody that will impact people much more. And there, you want to know how to create a vision board. We're going to go there, but quickly, before you create a vision board, if you want to build a house and the foundation is not strong, you know that it is at risk of falling later. So let's look at the things you have to do before you get your vision board made. Number one is clarity, two is chunking, three is calling, and four is commitment. I'll quickly talk about each of them. Clarity is very important. You have to be clear about the purpose of your life. That was where we started from. And that is your end game. Anything outside the purpose of your life is a distraction. Everything about what you are doing in life should point towards the purpose of your life. Secondly, you have to be clear about your why, because if your why is big enough, your excuses will naturally fade. Procrastination will move out of your life. You're procrastinating because you're either not sure of what you should be doing, or secondly, you don't have a reason that is strong enough. What's your why? Thirdly, you need to be able to sit down and consider the possible distractions and hurdles that can come your way, whether they are internal, things that they have told you when you were a child, things that you believe, your mindset, your limiting beliefs. You have to be able to sit down and identify the hurdles, and then what the people around you are saying. Once you identify the hurdles, you should be able to then sit down and say, what are the ways out? How am I going to overcome the hurdles? If your why is not big enough, your excuses will be. So apart from clarity, you need to chunk. I want to believe that, I mean, this is a women organized program. And when we go to the market, you go and buy a 2 kg meat. Is that the way we cook the beef? I don't think so. For most of us, the first thing we do is to cut it into pieces. And that's exactly what I'm talking about when I'm saying chunking. When you put a big bowl of amala in front of you, even if it's conflict, you don't put everything at once. You take it in bits and pieces. Exactly. When you look at your end game and you see that the vision you have is so big, what to do is not to throw it away. When you buy the 2 kg meat, you don't throw it away. You cut it into pieces, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do. You chunk it and you break it down. Let's say this is your vision, it's very big, it's not something you can achieve with your current situation. Then you ask yourself, what do I need to achieve it? Then if I want to achieve this in the next 10 years, how will I be doing every year? Then you cut it down. Let's say, for example, you hope to save 100,000 in 5 years. That means you're going to divide 100,000 into 5, and you say, that means as you save 20,000 minimum at the end of every year. So that's really what chunking is about. Research has proven that chunking breaks longer strings of information down into smaller pieces to enhance learning. And this is coming from the learning and development world, where I am and where you are as well. So we know that you don't come into university. When we got into UI, our lecturer did not teach us everything in one semester and we were gone. They broke it down. And that increased our understanding. Even in primary school, they will teach you songs, you know, ABC, before they now start teaching you words. When information is chunked, it helps you to be able to understand it. It helps you to be able to apply it, and then you can retain it for effectiveness. So definitely chunking leads to increased comprehension, retention, and application of information. In education world, that is how it is. In real life, that is how it is. It doesn't matter how big that vision is. If your mind can think it, you can achieve it. All you need to do is to sit down and chunk. Secondly, not only will you chunk, when you chunk the meat, you don't just leave it there. You've got to do something. You've got to spice it. You've got to get acting. And that's really simply what God himself did. God conceived the idea of this world, and then he spoke the word into being. So the Bible, I'm sorry for anybody who is a Muslim. I read the Bible. I'm sure you read the Quran. You will be able to find things like this in the Quran as well. So just associate it. I don't know the Quran. I would have been quoting it alongside. So, but the one I know in the Bible, Romans chapter 4 verse 17 says, God gives life to who gives life to the dead. He calls those things which do not exist as though they did. So you need to get into that place. You begin to consistently speak what you want into achievement. I mean, so many scriptures are coming to my head right now. Joshua chapter 1 verse 19, it says you should read, meditate, and confess. How do you receive salvation? Confession is made unto salvation. So, I mean, there's so much you've got to do. You need to be able to call them out. Unfortunately, what many of us do is that we wish for something else, but we say other things with our mouth because the world around us is saying, go easy. And then we too go around and we're saying, oh, it's not easy. And of course, what you are doing is you are telling your mind it's not easy, therefore it becomes difficult, therefore you are unable to do it, and after a while you throw it away. You can achieve your dream. It doesn't matter your age. Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, started his business at the age of 72. Irrespective of your age. You can think all you can, but don't say all you think. Words are spirits, they are life. So if you call negativity into your life, that's what you will birth. You are today a result of the things that you have said concerning your life in the past. So the next one is commitment. And there's a difference between interest and commitment. What I ordinarily would love to do at this time is to ask you, what do you think the difference is? But because of time, I'm unable to do that. So I would say that the difference between interest and commitment is simple. When you are interested in doing something, you do it when it's convenient. When you are committed to doing something, you accept no excuses, only results. And I mean, I have found this so true in my life. The difference between a professional and an amateur is very simple. The amateur will wake up and do things when it is convenient for them. But the professional, it's easy or it's not easy, they will still wake up and do it. Footballers that you see that are playing world over now, they wake up, go and look at them, their body is aching. Some of them, they will wound themselves on that field. They will still stand there, they're playing. That's the same thing they did when they were practicing. That was what got them up. Whatever gets you up is what will sustain you there. So those
okay, Mrs. Abimbola, you have less than 3 minutes to wrap up your discussion with us.
Can I please stop it right now, Ma? It's fine. Thank you. I can just close up now. So bottom line, all I would then say at this time is to make your vision board, go on the internet and search, how do I make a vision board? You will be able to make a vision board. And in closing, I'm going to quickly just say to you that your thoughts and your words are the things that will shape your life. So,
thank you.
Hello, if you do your part, you will definitely find out that God will do his part and make life important to you. One word that I will leave with you as I go. The law of diminishing intent, which was said by Jim Rohn. And the law of diminishing intent says that whatever it is you feel like doing right now, if you don't do it immediately, the longer you wait to do it, the more likely that you will not do it. I want to appeal to you, even if it's just 2 or 3 of you who has grabbed the concept of what I'm sharing here. I want to appeal to you. Your life can still make a big difference. You can impact people. After this time, go on and read about vision board. Make a vision board. and do everything you need to do to make your life work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Abimbola. We appreciate you and we understand that that's actually supposed to be a lecture for 2 days, vision board and how we can utilize it. I want to quickly appeal to you if we can get your slides after the program. Maybe you could help us send it to Dr. Asapere so we can also make reference to it as we try to practicalize what you have taught us this morning. We're sorry about the time schedule we gave you. We know it was too short, but I tell you, we have learned a lot this morning and we appreciate you. Quickly, I'll be handing over to Dr. Mayowai Gado for questions and answers. I am sure that we can use this opportunity to, you would also have some of the time you didn't have to finish your presentations while asking, while answering some, we'll have like 10 to 15 on Maya Waigadu for that.
Aki Ajani.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Igado said she'll be unavailable. So Dr. Aki Ajani, over to you, ma.
Good morning once again, everybody, and thank you so much, Mrs. Sholuade, for this wonderful presentation. Indeed, we enjoyed this presentation that you gave to us, and I'll quickly wrap up what Mrs. Sholuade taught us. It's not just about creating the vision board, but it's important that we first of all understand how to regain balance. Yes, she started out by telling us that life happens to everyone, and it's how we react to life that determines the balance that we will have. Another thing she mentioned is the importance of focus. And of course, we can only maintain focus when we know our life's purpose. And then she introduced the tool that will help us to do this, and that is the vision board. And of course, she outlined the benefits of the vision board, and that is, it forces you to sit and think on what you really want. It serves as a motivation to what you have planned to achieve. It helps to keep focus all year round, cutting out distractions, and it gives you a daily opportunity to reprogram your mind. She was on to giving us how to create the vision board, and she started out by telling us, first of all, that it works, giving us examples of Steve Harvey, Whitney Cummings, and of course herself. And then she went on to the 4 C's, that is clarity, chunking. Unfortunately, I don't think I got the last 2, so maybe I'm going to open the floor by asking her to give us the last 2 of the 4 C's. And then at this, she concluded by telling us the law of diminishing intent. And that simply means whatever you plan to do, do it now. Having said that, I'd like to ask us to come up with our questions so that she will quickly answer. So please, if you have any questions, I think you can unmute yourself and then just ask the question.
Shortly before
and
the
she
question,
will respond.
okay, shortly
All right.
before the question, you were trying to give us the 4 C's, and I just see Rewa Walker reminded everyone that the 4 C's included clarity, chunking, calling it, and commitment. I hope I am correct.
All right, thank you so much.
Dr. So any question and answer?
Okay, any questions, please? Any questions from anyone? Or do we have questions in the chat room? Our people in the chat room, are there any questions there? Okay, it appears it has been a very stimulating presentation, very clear also. I want to use this opportunity to say thank you once again to Mrs. Sholuade. She's given us an assignment, and that is to go online and find out how to create the vision board. I think we still have a few minutes to our question and answer session. So if the MC will permit me, could Mrs. Sholuade please give us a brief on creating the vision board? Thank you.
Over to you, Mrs. Sholuade.
I'm trying to put my video on. Okay. All right. Well, basically, I do think that you're going to find a lot of information online. But what I would say quickly is that there are two types of vision board, and it's important for you to find out or to decide which one works for you, which one you believe will work well. For me, I use both. The first type is the physical one. You know, it's just like some people carry hard copy Bible to church till now. Some people use the one on their phone. So which one works for you? You can have a vision board that is on your phone, which is the digital vision board. It's a soft copy, you can't touch it. You can have a physical vision board. Just like we have notice boards in our offices, and it is usually positioned in a place where everybody can see it. You can have your vision board on a board like that. So you need to decide which one you want to make right now. And if you decide for the physical one, the basic concept of making both of them are quite similar. The major difference is that one is physical, you can see and touch. The other is you can see, you can't touch. Now, you have to get magazines. The first thing, of course, is to have a dream book. And in your dream book, what you do is to actually sit down and do all of these things. This is where the work is. The big deal is not in the making a vision board. By God's grace, I have taught 3-year-olds to make vision boards. A child, she was not doing well in her crèche. Just to sit down and color was a big deal. But I was invited to speak to children on vision boards, and we sat down. It was a full day activity, and she made her vision board. Her life has not only changed, her mother has consistently been following me right now. She's in a group that I am, she's the admin, she's just anything I say, she's just hopping in her because of the difference it made in her child's life. So it's something you can do. It's simple. Go and get a cardboard and find somewhere in your house where you will place it so that when you wake up in the morning, you look at it. But you're not looking at an empty cardboard. You sit down and you ask yourself, where am I now? Where am I supposed to be? What are the things that help me and make me discover your purpose? Once you discover your purpose and you say, this is the direction, or I'm not still sure, but this is what I believe I should be doing with my life now. Once you find that, even if it's something you want to do over the next 5 years, all you now need to do is to ask yourself, don't think about, it's too big, I don't have the money, they've never done this type of thing in my family, how can I ever do it? No. There's a difference. Those are things for God to do. The thing for you to do is what we're saying you should find out now. So find out, what can you do in this regard? If it looks like it's something that needs money and you don't have that money right now, is there a way you can raise money? So you break it down into, that's the chunking, you break it down into, okay, over the next 5 years, even though I can't save I don't have $1 million yet, can I start doing this? Can I start doing that? You write those things down. Once you are able to break it down into activities of what you should actually commit your life to do right now, then you put yourself under, okay, this activity, I should be able to achieve it in a quarter, in 3 months. So you put a date to it. That is turning your dreams into goals. It remains a dream and it is useless until you put a date to it. When you time it, you're turning it into a goal to say, I have to achieve this by so time. Then you now look for an image that will depict what you want to see by the end of that period. That by 3 months, I should have raised that house up to lintel. Go and look for an image that looks like the house you want to build and put it in one section of that cardboard. By the end of this year, I should have opened my company. Go and look for an image that looks like the kind of company you want to achieve. I want to get children off the streets. Whatever it is that your vision is, look for an image that looks like it and put it on your vision board. For example, in 2019, going into 2020, my vision for 2020 was that we will move our office from where it was to another place. And I want to tell you that in the midst of COVID, despite the fact that 16 people, personal, my family, my close friends, my brother's wife, I mean, people who are really, really personal to me died. Despite all of the storms that arose in my life, every single thing on my vision board was achieved. By November 30, everything was achieved. Not only were they achieved, other things that I now wanted to stretch into, I was able to achieve them. So you just put those on your vision board. Look for images that can keep you reminded of what you want in your life. So when you wake up every morning, you look at the vision board to remind yourself that the activities you will do today should focus on this and that and this and that. And you also say to yourself, that will help you cut off, I noticed that all the things I wanted to do yesterday, I wasn't able to do it because I was busy talking about football. I was busy talking about this and that. It will help you cut off friends and people, association that you don't need in your life because you are now busy. The reason you have time for distraction is because you are not gainfully engaged. You're not engaged in the things that move towards your life. I'm so sorry to refer to this, but the people who died in 2020, did they think they were going to die? So how much time do you have left? If we really start thinking about it, we don't know. All we can do is to make sure that we make every day count, every hour count, every moment count. So
thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ma. We're grateful. Thank you so much, Mrs. Sholuade. It has been a very clear presentation. In one of the things raised in the chat room was, can the as things become clearer, you should be able to update your vision board. We'd also like to have the presentation. So once again, on behalf of everyone, we want to say thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. I'd like to hand over to Dr. Taiwo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Akin Ajani. And I want to say another very big thank you to Mrs. Abimbola Sholuade. The passion with which you have taught us today, I could actually feel it live. And it's good that you are not speaking theoretically, you are also speaking practically. And I also love one aspect where you said that we just needed to do our part and forget about the one that we cannot do, because that is God's own part to do. I hope that we all put all the discussions into practicals. Like we've humbly requested, we will still require you to forward the slides to us so that we can keep making reference to it afterwards. Quickly, we will move to the next item on the program, which is the presentation by the second speaker. The second speaker in person of Dr. Omowumi Isiafade. Dr. Omowumi Isiafade is actually a senior lecturer in the University of Western Cape, South Africa. She's a senior lecturer in the University of Western Cape, South Africa. She holds a PhD in computer science. She holds a PhD in computer science from the same university where she lectures. And prior to leaving Nigeria to further her career, she was a technical lead at JKK. That's a company that manages online examination, computer-based tests for many Nigerian universities. In South Africa, she has worked on various online learning platforms. She's the founder of a startup called Digit Inspire. She's also the founder of University of Western Cape Women in Computer Science, WICS. She is a member of Owsd and consistently involved in various initiatives to support the worthy cause of advancing women in the STEM discipline. She has been recognized by many organizations for her innovative and outstanding solutions. And some of these include Google, UNESCO, L'Oreal, HLF, and AIMS. You would appreciate the reason why we had to pick up this, approach this season's speaker in person of Mrs. Dr. Omowumi Isafade to give us a presentation on successful online teaching and conduction of examination in COVID era. So welcome with me, Dr. Isafade, for her presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof, for the warm welcome. Thank you for the introduction. And to everyone in the house, I hope we can all hear me. Can you hear me, please? Can you just let me know?
Yes,
we can hear you.
can.
We can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, we are
Okay, I'll
hearing
just
you.
go ahead and share my. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
You can see your screen, so you can just go ahead.
Okay. All right, thanks for having me again, and greetings to everyone in the house. It's been a pleasure to be here. And today I'll just share with you a few tips on teaching and learning, particularly as related to this peculiar period that we are all in, which is the COVID era. And I'm hoping that at least we'll get one or two things to take away from this presentation. All right, so I have, okay, move to the next slide now. Okay, so I've just, yes, the short outline of my talk. So I'll just talk briefly, give some background on learning needs and talk about some tools that personally I have found useful in my teaching and learning experience, and also some that I've not really used, but I've seen my colleagues use these tools as well. When it comes to teaching and learning, especially e-learning and blended learning and online learning, sometimes there's no one way to it. Sometimes you try out different things and then you see which of these things actually works for you. And then you can then settle for that particular thing. And I'd also mention the emerging technology, which is the immersive technology that is really being used for teaching and learning in this dispensation that we are in. Okay, so I just want to put my presentation in full screen mode so that we can see clearer. All right. All right. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to go to the next slide. I think something is, okay. Okay, my apologies. I don't know, my system is hanging here. Okay. So just a quick background on teaching and learning, and just to emphasize the fact that sometimes teaching may not necessarily equate to learning, and that's because learning is a process, and the end goal of learning is for the learner to actually acquire some knowledge. So it's not every time an instructor or a lecturer goes to class to teach that he or she has actually imparted the students. So sometimes you might have taught the learners and they have not really gained that experience or that concept that you really want them to gain. And that's because the whole idea of teaching, it has a whole lot of factors that needs to be put in place. The way we support the learners, the way we design our learning environment, whether it's learner-focused or learner-centered environment, the way we carry the class along, everything would determine whether our teaching actually achieves the end goal or whether our teaching actually impacts the learners that we want them to impact. So in terms of pedagogy, e-pedagogy in this case, whether our teaching is the active kind of teaching and learning or the passive kind of teaching and learning. So the way we support and grow lifelong learning, authentic learning, all of this will determine how much we have actually imparted knowledge. So it's not about how much time we have spent in class. It's also about the quality of our delivery, quality of how, and the whole idea, the whole method or the technique that we have applied when we do pass the information across to learners. And bearing in mind that learners differ from one another. So the fact that you have taught a particular group this way this semester does not necessarily mean that that approach would always work for every cohort. So their different needs might differ from cohort to cohort. And what is also very important is how to have a psychologically safe environment for all the learners. So all of these factors are really key. And the whole idea is to reflect on how our teaching strategies have been, and especially now that we are in this COVID era where we need to then go completely online beyond blended learning approach that we might be used to. All right, so talking about understanding the learners' needs, we need to understand the fact that there are different learners and they learn in different ways. So there are learners that are actually like visual learners. They learn better when you give them some visual or graphical kinds of information. There are also read and write kind of learner who learn better when they write things down and they can actually make notes on their own. There are also auditory learners that prefers to just listen to the instructor or listen to a piece of information in order to actually gain knowledge. So these different modes of learners should be kept in mind when we actually deliver or when we expect that students should actually grasp the knowledge that we try to pass across. So in essence, the ability to understand learning needs, the ability to create a kind of inclusive environment, classroom environment for the learners would actually determine how effective our teaching would be. All right, so just to summarize the key concepts behind the need to understand learners' needs, I've used this chart, which is the Bloom's taxonomy. So it's just a kind of hierarchical structure that explains what is expected from a learner. Like when you have taught a particular concept, when you have taught a learner, how do you check whether this message has actually been passed across? And this is what the Bloom's taxonomy is all about. So it's all about how much of that thing, how much of that concept are they able to remember? How much of that concept are they able to recognize? How much can they retrieve, from their memory? And also, having been able to recognize them, how much are they able to understand? How much meaning or sense are they able to make out of this? Can they summarize it? Can they compare to other things? Can they explain that concept? So all of this, and how much then can they apply this concept in the real world, and how much to analyze and evaluate this concept? So all of these factors will determine how effective our teaching and learning experience brings me to what is known as teaching philosophy. Many of us that are lecturers would have seen this word, and particularly you would have some kind of teaching philosophy in mind. And if you have probably passed through some interview, they might have asked you, what is your teaching philosophy? It's a very common question when you interview people for an academic position. And this is a very key concept because if an instructor does not have a teaching philosophy, then it becomes difficult how the person manages their classroom environment and what their end goal is about their teaching, or how passionate they are about the teaching. So the teaching philosophy is a self-reflective statement that summarizes one's belief and values about teaching and learning. So it's like a mission statement, and it's very personal to you, and it's something that is active, because if you have those values and beliefs in mind, these are the things that would always guide the way you manage your learning environment, the classroom, and the way you design your curriculum and all of that. So it guides your teaching practices. So your teaching philosophy is also a key aspect of teaching and learning. And this also hinges on the assessment and learning outcome. When it comes to assessment, there are different ways you can assess students. And I've just put across two very broad categories here. So your assessment will be either the formative, which is the common one known as the continuous assessment. So it's a kind of progressive way to check the understanding of learners. Or it could be a summative assessment where we usually have the formal examination at the end of the module or at the end of the semester. But very often, because of this online teaching and learning, it's much more advisable to have a kind of formative assessment. And that's because this would help that per time you check that for every topic or every concept you have passed across, the learner has been able to grasp that information. I've been able to understand that concept. So you could have a combination of formative and summative assessment also in a particular model. But what is also important is that your assessment must always align with the learning outcomes for that particular model. Every module ideally would have some learning outcomes. So the assessment then should align with those learning outcomes. Otherwise, the mission or the goal is defeated. All right. So in terms of assessment, we also have to keep in mind that when our assessment is poorly planned, then we have also created room for plagiarism. And one of the things we have also picked up during this era is that many students then they tend to be much more engaged in plagiarism, depending on how you have actually structured your assessment. So all of those factors, they go a long way to determine how effective one's teaching is, and also how to make life easy. So how easy it will be for you as a lecturer, because if you have a high level of plagiarism, then you're sort of obliged sometimes to reassess. That means you have to redo all of this, which will take time, energy from you. So you want to properly plan all of this beforehand to be sure that you, as much as possible, reduce the possibility of plagiarism when you assess students. All right, so to have a kind of flexible learning and kind of teaching experience, especially in this COVID era, going completely online, we can't run away from these online tools that would help make life easy for us. And also, for many of us, we are used to the face-to-face teaching approach where you can see the countenance of the students, you can see what's going on behind the scene and all of that. But now we're going completely online and it's difficult to see all of that. So sometimes there's a way to align the way you structure your environment, the tools you use, and check all of this and be sure that your mission is actually accomplished. So we can, I've just listed a couple of tools here. The Zoom software, which we are all very familiar with. We are currently enjoying the Zoom platform. The Doodle software, which I believe many of us might be familiar with as well. And if you are not, it's just a piece of software that allows you to schedule meetings, and you can mutually agree between parties or amongst your colleagues when you want to have a particular meeting. So you don't have to say, oh, what day are you? You just, through this software, you just indicate the days you are available, and then you make the platform open and share with your colleagues. They can also indicate when they are available. Time will not permit us to go into the details of trying out all of the software, but at least knowing that they exist and knowing what they can do sometimes would go a long way to make life easy for us. And there are a lot of tutorials online that can just guide one. For me also, for most of the software, I just do a quick YouTube tutorial. I just check it up and then I'm able to use them. There are a lot of very good tutorials that can guide us. The Google Meet platform is also very popular these days, and personally, I've also used it for lecture recording. This software is also messaging channel platform where you can, especially if you're dealing with maybe a class where you have different groups, you can easily use Slack channel to easily communicate with the teams, the different teams or the different groups. So you just create a Slack channel. Each team member or group member is in this channel, and then you can communicate with specific groups of specific teams as necessary. Also, OBS, Open Broadcaster Studio software, which allows you to record lectures, is also very popular these days. The big blue button, it's also very, very good software to use for recording lectures. And the WhatsApp platform could be an added tool. Like if you have a class size that is not as big, you can decide to have a WhatsApp group where you can just once in a while communicate through that group. So sometimes when it really comes to like a one size fits all, it's all about considering what works for you. Some people don't need to be on WhatsApp because they don't want anything to disturb their personal time or whatever. But this is also something that works very well for some people. So it's not like a one size fits all. And sometimes it depends on the class size. If the class size is quite huge, it might be tricky to have a WhatsApp group. And this link here is just one of the links that on the big blue button, which is the BBB tutorial link. But apart from this link, there are a whole lot of other links or tutorials that are online that could also help. All right. So yes, this is the main thing, the learning management system. So there are a whole lot of them. The learning management systems, a whole lot of them. If you Google learning management systems now, you will find a variety and it's quite overwhelming. And I've just highlighted a few here. And I wasn't sure, for example, the audience we have here, I'm not sure which particular one your institution would recommend. Because for example, we have in my institution, we are tending more towards Sakai at the University of the Western Cape. But of course, I know Moodle is a very cool and good one that some universities have been using. The Brightspace, the Canvas, the PowerSchool, a whole lot of them, even Google Classroom. But sometimes there might be constraints around this, because for Google Classroom, you also, and for most of the software, of course, you need some kind of database, you need some kind of space to store the files. So if you have some constraint on the size, file size that you can store, then you might be restricted on a particular software. But I've just further highlighted here. Like I mentioned earlier, at the University of Western Cape, where I work, we use what is known as eCanva. eCanva is actually powered by Sakai. The Sakai software is I'm very, very familiar with that because I've been using it for a couple of years now. And so eCanva is just so it's basically powered by Sakai, but branded eCanva. So like UI, University of Ibadan can also get something that is powered by Sakai and give it a name that they like. So this is just the LMS platform. And with Moodle also, it's also popular, it's open source. And also put some links here that I find quite relevant that would help to gain some insight into how this LMS works. But for you to have an online classroom, you definitely need an LMS.
Sorry, we can't see your screen anymore.
Is it? That's strange. Is that?
I can see the screen from here.
Okay, so maybe it's just your
I
side.
can see the screen. I can see the screen.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, you could probably just leave the meeting and then reconnect. Sorry about that. I think it's just some internet fluctuation here and there. But yes, so for online teaching and learning, we definitely need to have at least one type of LMS. And depending on the one we go for, there are a whole lot of features that are attached to the different LMS. And the interesting thing with the Sakai platform, for example, the Canva that we use is that we can also integrate a lot of third-party applications, like the big blue button is now integrated on a Canva and all of that. So there are a whole lot of variety and dynamics, but it depends on what the institution decides to use, because ideally the lecturers are obliged to use that. But I guess if the institution is flexible enough, you can decide to go outside of that, but it may not be a convenient option because, for example, for the Moodle platform, you definitely need some back-end server. And if you teach a module where students will need to upload lots of files, you need to at least store them somewhere. So you need some server backend, but you can also at least install on your local machine. And then if you install on your local machine, you can also play around with it. Personally, I've known Moodle for a while, but I never had the need to use it. Like I mentioned, the one we use in my institution is called Canva, which I find easy to use. But yesterday I just said, let me play around with Moodle. So I tried to install on my Windows machine and also my Mac laptop, and find that it's also quite intuitive to play around with. And I've also just put here the link where one could just download this software, the moodle.org. It's open source, and you could just download the software. And then there's also an installation guide. I just want to see if I can. Okay, time is really not on our side. I wanted to see if I can demo, download and all of that, but basically, if one downloads from here, if you go to moodle.org, if you click on download, you have the different options that they support. There is one that for Mac OS, for Windows OS, then you can select which one that, whichever that suits your need. And then if you download that, for the one for Windows, when I downloaded it, I had this zipped folder. So when I extracted the file, and then I had these other 4 folders, the server, the README file, and the start module and stop module. So basically, all you have to do is just to click on start module for the installation process, and then go to your browser, and then type in the local host, and then you can begin to play around with it on your local machine, and you can familiarize yourself with it. It's actually quite intuitive, like I said, because for me, I only did that yesterday as an experiment, and I was able to at least create a course on Moodle. So for the Mac OS, I also I downloaded for Mac OS, and it was something like this that I got. So basically, you just then need to start the server. For the Mac OS, I add a little challenge, which many of us that are using Mac operating system might already be familiar with. When I wanted to open the application, it says, it didn't allow me to install. So it says the source is unrecognized. And that's what one of the things Mac does. It only wants you to download applications from App Store. But if you download any application from any other source, it says unrecognized. And then there's a simple way to fix that. You just go to your, click on the Apple icon at the top of your screen, go to security and privacy. Once you get to security and privacy, you'll see a link that says open anyway, but you have to definitely put your admin password, and then you can say open anyway and sort of grant permission to that application to open. I think that was the little challenge I had with the Mac OS. But basically there's like a very intuitive way to just follow the steps and get through this. And like I said, there are a lot of tutorials online to guide us on this. Just start the server and then go to your browser, type in localhost module, and then you can get started filling the first home page and details, and then you can start creating courses or topics as you find necessary. And the last thing I'd like to mention is about technology called immersive technology. Many of us might already know about immersive technology. Includes augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, and even extended reality. There are just slight differences between this technology, but basically for augmented reality, it's about adding more information to reality. And many of us must have, you must be aware of, for example, the Pokemon Go game, the Snapchat lenses. These are part of examples of augmented reality. So it basically overlays digital content on the real world. And for virtual reality, the only difference is that virtual reality takes you out of the physical world. It takes you out of reality. So you can see like this kind of special devices, the headset, set that is being on here. This person would not be aware of what is going on in a physical environment at that instance. So everything you see, everything you work with will be from this, whatever you are immersed into using a special headset. So this technology currently is at the pilot phase, kind of in my institution. And I know that many other African institutions have actually been adopting this technology because it's now much more relevant because of this COVID era, and because we need a platform that would help us to engage students in lifelong learning, authentic learning, particularly in areas of fields where students need to have that hands-on experience, right? So there are some modules that are really difficult to teach just online, but with immersive technology, it creates that avenue, it creates access that allows learners our fourth learners the opportunity to actually interact with the environment. All right, so you can actually test certain core areas of competences using this technology. I've just put an example here. This platform here is called the Huion platform. I think I have it in the next slide. There's a link there that can give more information about it. But basically what you're seeing here, even though it's static in my slide, it's actually a 3D image that you can actually play around with to see the different views of this particular specimen or asset that we have here. And with this platform, you can create assessment also that allows learners to engage and maybe build on this kind of 3D assets. And this app actually was developed by some of our students because at University of Western Cape, we have the postgraduate diploma program in e-skills with immersive technology. And with this app that was developed, it has 3D assets of different anatomical structures where like the hip and thigh, the ham, forehand, and all of that. So for those in that kind of area that needs to engage students, this technology really creates that opportunity for that. And I've just put some references to show some publications that are emerging just to show or prove that this technology is actually having impact. And this is an example of what I was talking about. So on that platform, you could create an assessment where you have a specific component that the student needs to actually build. So this is actually the asset. So you could actually break it down or break it up, and then students are required to assemble this. It's like a piece of puzzle for them to solve. So it's a kind of new era or phase we are entering in. And I put this links here. With these links, we can look through and understand more about this technology for those that are interested or for those that do not already know about this technology. So this is one of the examples. There are different modes of assessment on the platform. You can do true or false. You can do the multi-choice kind of assessment, the theory-based, and all of that. All right, so I think I've run out of time. My apologies. So just in summary, to remind us that we need to understand learners' needs in order to be effective in our teaching. And there are a lot of technologies that are out there that can actually guide us, that can assist us with our online teaching, but we definitely need to have at least one learning management system. I'm not sure which one is prescribed at the University of Ibadan, for example, and I've shown quite a number of them that could be explored. So, but the ultimate goal is we want to be sure that our learners are actually engaged and they are ready for the challenges of the future, and they are able to meet the expectations of the industries that will hire them in the future. So even though the pandemic challenges are there, the truth is it has also, brought some kind of positive views or results by letting us rethink our way of doing things, rethink our way of teaching and learning. And thank you very much for having me. Here are some references that I've used in my talk, and thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Isiafade, for that wonderful presentation. So I'll be handing over now to Dr. Akinjani again for the question and answer segment.
Thank you very much. And I want to say thank you to Dr. Isafiade for the online teaching and conducting of examinations, even in this period. It has been a very enlightening presentation, and we are sincerely grateful. In the course of her presentation, she made it clear to us that the end game of all teaching must be the learning achieved by our learners. And of course, she outlined that quality of delivery was very important, along with understanding the differences of the needs of the learner cohorts. And it's also important to understand the mode by which they learn, whether it's audio, visual, or blended. She also stressed the importance of the learning environment and the importance of the teacher having a teaching philosophy which encompasses the Bloom's taxonomy and helps to drive greater passion even for teaching. She went on to talk about assessments and mentioned both formative as well as the summative, and the importance of these assessments being in alignment with the learning outcomes. She went on to look at the various tools that can be used in delivery of these online lectures, and she mentioned some of the tools being Zoom, Doodle, Google Meet, the OBS, the big blue button, as well as WhatsApp. She also looked at various learning management systems, Moodle, Sakai, the Power School, Canvas, as well as the Brightspace. And then she went on to mention the immersive technology, which actually is a very good technology that helps to create, that helps the learners to access and as well as interact with their environment, particularly in this situation that we find ourselves. So an example of such a platform she gave was the Eon XR platform, where learners are able to interact, with the example she gave was the anatomy of the human hand, and they could see exactly how it moves. There's an opportunity also to put back a skull that has been broken. And so this actually shows us that there's so much that we can do even in this period. And having said all that, I'd like to open it up for questions now. If we have any questions for Dr. Isiade, please let's unmute ourselves and ask our questions. Those in the chat room, are there any questions there?
Not yet. Not yet. I'm following up with the chat room.
There are two questions, Dr. Jubril, you may want to check. There are two questions on availability of this immersive technology for a country like Nigeria. Two people have asked that question.
All right, Dr.
So I can help you to
Okay, Dr. Safiade, please could you answer that question? It has to do with the availability of the immersive technology in our own environment here.
Thank you very much for that question. That's a very good one. Like I said, in my university, we have started, we are kind of at a pilot stage of that application. And as far as I know, there are quite a number of universities that are also beginning to embrace. I'm not sure of any university in Nigeria, but here in South Africa, it's not only University of the Western Cape that is beginning to look into it. Now, it may not be something that will just come quickly in the short term. So it will require some time, maybe, depending on the willingness of, or depending on the need. If it's really critical that you have such a platform, then you need to reach out to the providers, kind of, if I'll use that word. But for example, at my university, we only started the postgraduate diploma in immersive technology in 2019. So last year was like the second cohort, so the second group that we had. And the idea is we want to begin to engage students, even in the African continent. We want to begin to, impart that kind of knowledge so that students can also come up with innovative solutions. Like the anatomy app I showed earlier was one of the projects of a particular group from the previous cohort. So it's not something that might come quickly, but there are companies or industries that are actually willing to sell. Like the Eon is a leading company when it comes to immersive technology. You can Google Eon. And I'm more than happy to share the slide with you. Then you can maybe look through some of those links here that will actually give you a summary, high-level information about this industry or this company that um, that is into immersive technology. Ion is an example. There are, I'm sure, quite a number of other ones, but at the University of Western Cape, we've currently partnered with Ion on this technology. So I wouldn't say it's readily available now. It is if we want to go the commercial way. I'm sure if you approach Ion today and say, this is what I need, it's all about your money, and they can give you the solution. So it's all about what your focus is. If it's about integrating it into the institution, like having a program where your students are actually involved in this, because it's not a very direct thing. You need to know all of the assets that you need in 3D. So if you need something for the geology department, you need people that would understand the structure of certain elements that you want to model in 3D, and you need people with the expertise also that will actually do the modeling. One of the software that we've been using is the 3D XMAP. Amongst other software to model the 3D, we use Unity engine. There's a lot of animation that gets built into the application. So I think it is available. We just have to gradually embrace it and see and follow up with what suits our needs.
We have another question from Natacha.
Yes, please.
We have another question, and the question has to do with how do we minimize plagiarism among students during online assessment?
That's a very good, yeah, that's a very good question. Plagiarism is a huge challenge at this time. But like, for example, for me, one of the things I do is with the Sakai Canva platform that we use at my university, the Turnitin software is also one of the integrated applications in that software. So on a Canva, if you, for example, set up an assessment, you enable Turnitin. All right, so you enable Turnitin, and that would also, the fact that students know that that is there, they also kind of, you know, it passes some cautionary information across. So they try to reduce. I see that plagiarism is really minimal when you use that software, but sometimes it depends on the nature of the model. Like some models are designed that it's all about theory, you know, explain, describe. But some other models could allow you to be much more innovative, such that students can't have any way of really getting it directly from the internet, except of course if they share with their friends, and you will then know. There's a way to engage students. An example of, like, from my experience, one of the models I've taught is the data structures and algorithms. And when I give assessment, I don't give assessment that says define or something. I create a case study, kind of, and I ask them that, for example, what data structure would apply in this scenario? So they need to think. It's not something they can just say, define this, or, you know, those are easy questions to really set up as lecturers, but you just have to be ready to go the extra mile to think of ways to make sure that students are not, it may not be possible to completely eradicate, but it can be controlled such that you will be able to really identify those that are copying themselves. So of course, at my university, at the start of my course, I do what is called like course orientation. The first lecture is not just lecture. It's a day where we talk, we agree, kind of. Even though it's online, there's a document that you all need to read. And I also try to give like a quiz. I call it quiz 0. It's not really something that counts towards math, but it's something everyone needs to respond to. And in that quiz, I just try to create that awareness. I try to engage them, to ask them, what are you expecting out of this course? They tell you. So these are the ways you also identify learners' needs. What do you expect out of this course? Like on the average also, what kind of final mark would you expect? Now, plagiarism aspects, you're aware of it. If you are caught, it could lead to rustication. We need to constantly remind them, because there are students that would yield to that warning. There are some that might be different, but definitely when they are caught, you try to make sure you use them as an example to others. But these are one of the ways, use a plagiarism checker. Ensure that the way you set up your assessment engages the students, not something they can just Google online and find a solution. And for a situation where your model is something that has to be theory-based, you can still impose some level of responsibility on the students, such that they need to maybe explain and apply to a particular scenario, or give an example, or describe an example, and encourage them to, because this is also one of the ways to start grooming students for research. Sometimes they find articles online that gives them solutions to certain things. Encourage them to reference such articles. So these are ways to engage students. These are ways to reduce plagiarism in my experience. I hope I answered that.
Thank you so much. You really did. I'm sure everyone has found something to take away from all that you have said, even now, regarding the assessment. Our time is fast spent. Otherwise, there's one more recommendation or comment here from the chat room, asking whether it is possible to have a memorandum of understanding between your institution and ours that would help to leverage on some of the technologies that you have mentioned in teaching. I guess the person asking the question can do a follow-up with you after this particular presentation. Well, thank you so much once again, Dr. Safiade. We really appreciate this presentation. Thank you so much. I'll hand over to Dr. Taiwo now.
Thank you very much, Dr. Akin Ajani and Dr. Safiade, for the time spent with us to learn about something as timely as this. I want to quickly ask, I hope we've been enjoying ourselves and we have learned a lot in this event. Are we there?
Yes, we have learned a lot.
I hope we have something to take home. Is the workshop worth it?
Very well.
Okay, I see Olaiton Adeji raising up her hand. Is there anything you want us to note? Oh, you were just saying it was a wonderful program. Thank you very much. Okay, without much ado, I would move us to the next item on the program, which is the vote of thanks by our own LOC chairperson, in person of Professor Mubo. Tony Barre. My apologies.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can.
We can hear you.
All right. Thank you so very much. If we were in a classroom setting, I would have said, let's give a round of applause to ourselves and to the speakers and to all the participants. Thank you. I practically did that. I would like to start by thanking all of us. This has been our program and we have made it a wonderful day. If you were not here, then it wouldn't have been a success. So I would like to thank everybody that logged on. And I would like to thank us especially because we had a sustained audience. At a point, the audience became 100 and a little above 100. And up to now, we have 98 or 99 participants. That is great. That is huge. I would like to also thank the guest speaker, starting from Mrs. Abimbola Sholuade. She's a life coach, and I believe that with her talk today, she has impacted lives. I hope that in the nearest future, we'll continue to see the fruit of this impartation we have had with her today. And I say our day has been blessed by coming across this talk. I want us to do the talk and work it out in our lives. Thank you very much. That was the CEO of IEJ that spoke to us. Now, I would like to also thank Dr. Omowumi Safiade from the University of West Cape. Thank you so very much. You have spoken to us, you have inspired us, especially in this era of return to online or going to online teaching and examination. We thank you so very much because you have exposed us to many of these. UI uses LMS and Moodle. So we thank you so very much for going all the way to try Moodle before you came to talk to us. That is very, very, very good of you. And we want to say there's nothing we can say about this that can actually equate the effort we have put in and the impact you have had on us today. We can only thank you so very much for your time, for your commitment, and for yielding to our call. I would also want to thank the host of this meeting, that is the host that gave us access to the Zoom link. That is in person of Dr. Indidi Ofole, through an organization she belongs to. And somebody has been with us on this talk throughout the workshop, Mr. Peter Owsd Ui. Thank you so very much. You have made our day, and we say God bless you. We'd like to thank members of the planning committee of this workshop. They have worked tirelessly. I thank every member, right from meetings we have had under the curtain, suggestions here and there, the technical crew, the chat room managers, the people on the program. We thank you so very much. And we also want to thank our coordinator of the Owsd Ui branch, Dr. Fumilola Ajani, that gave us the opportunity of having this program. Over. Thank you. MC, I'm done.
Thank you very much, Ma, for the vote of thanks. I think we can also use this opportunity to thank you very much also for your commitment towards this program. We move to announcements and closing remarks. But just before we do that, I want to believe that we've all been sitting down, doing the listening, enjoying ourselves, and hearing from the speakers. I want every one of us to put our hands up and clap for the speakers. Tell them we appreciate them for a work well done, and we look forward to seeing them again. And then secondly, I also want us to give ourselves a warm hug for coming around for this program and staying for this long. So, and while you are enjoying your hug, I'm also hugging you too, putting my kisses and thanking you for being a part of the program, for staying with us to the end. We want to say we love you. This is OWSD, Organization for Women in Science for the Developing World. And I assume that we are all already part of this organization. We are one big family, and we look forward to more people to be a part of this. And we want to say we love you. We want to see more of you. And quickly, we would now move to the last segment and wrap up of this program, which has to do with the announcements and closing remarks by the coordinator. I see a lot of people saying that this was fun and we should have more of this. I want to assume that part of the announcement will be how we are going to be having more of this, and we hope to see more of you and more of your recruitees and mentees on this program. So thank you very much once again, and over to our coordinator for announcements and closing remarks.
Oh, what a day. Firstly, I would like to appreciate the two speakers again, in person of Mrs. Abimbola Soluade and Dr. Omowumi Isafiade. God bless you. Firstly, I would like to express my gratitude to the workshop committee, who generously worked in putting this program together. The chairperson, Professor Mubo Shonibare, thank you. We have the members, Dr. Sapere, Dr. Olajumoke Alabi, Dr. Afusat Jubril, Dr. Ndidi Mercy Ofole, Dr. Olutoyin Fashaye, and Dr. Mayowa Igadu. Thank you very much for putting this together.
You did not mention my name.
Sorry, Dr. Patricia, the MC. Thank you. We appreciate you. Dr. Kiajani has done justice to the recap from the two speakers, so I won't do a repetition again. I just want to stress that knowing is not enough. We must apply. Wishing is not enough. We must do. This piece of wisdom reminds us to apply what we learn and take action towards success, rather than waiting, wishing, and hoping.
Sorry, please, if you know that you are unmuted, kindly mute yourself because we are having some other voices infiltrating into what our coordinator is talking about.
Only 2 hours work.
Progress, please.
Professor Shonibarema, there is a question there that can men join OSWD?
Oh, okay. Yes, they can be friend of OSWD. Friends of OSWD. Did you hear my response?
No, it was cracking. You could say it again, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, there's a question that can men join OWSD? Okay. And the answer is yes, they can as friends of OWSD.
But they can't be. Is there any other question? Okay, thank you for
appreciation to the director.
Thank you and have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. It was nice having you around. So see you some other time. Enjoy your day. And please don't forget to take a chilled bottle of Coke on our behalf, or water for those who are dieting.
Next time, think of a group photograph. Next time, think of a group photograph. Next time, think of a group photograph.
Okay.